Hi everyone, today I just want to talk about 5 reasons why alcohol lied to you. And I think they're kind of important things to discuss because there's a lot of myths going about there, especially when we were younger, about how it improves this and that. And ultimately, in the end, it can have such a detrimental effect to you. The kind of myths and lies that we were told. And the first one is around confidence. I think we've all had a colleague, a friend, a family member who's really maybe introverted, has social anxieties, and they used alcohol throughout their life to kind of get through those situations. And I think that's kind of common when you look at a lot of the YouTube videos. Why did people start out in the beginning? And it goes back to when you were younger, maybe an early teenager, and you kind of started drinking on street corners, or after school somebody managed to sneak some beers from their parents or some wine or vodka or whatever, and they end up having a few drinks and they get this biggest buzz ever. I had a good friend of mine when I was younger that I don't really see that much, but I always remember he was really, really quiet. And I remember the first time I ever bumped into him and he was drunk and he was the most liveliest, outgoing person in the world. But I think that can have a really detrimental effect on you when you get older, because over the years, if you were kind of introverted when you're younger, kind of bit of social anxiety, didn't like going along in groups, then I think naturally over time you end up getting over those fears, because you maybe had to you got through school first of all, and then you have to go through college or university or do an apprenticeship somewhere, and you start learning all those skills, going to work, going to uni, there's team buildings, there's days out, etc. And I think the vast majority of people, because I still, know introverted people just now, and they admit it and they still say that, it's a bit challenging going out and meeting people, etc. But they have built up that confidence. And I think when you use booze, it just becomes a crutch for you and just doesn't become a healthy way to end up benefiting yourself in the long run. So it can be really detrimental to your growth generally in life. And I just think not having alcohol there to kind of encourage you, and maybe just putting some natural processes in place and just being more confident in yourself, just kind of trial and error. I think it's a lot healthier than grabbing a few beers just to kind of get that Dutch courage to go out. The second lie is the stress. I think loads of people you speak to will say that, and I think it's genuinely an excuse I used to make, that you really like it to just get rid of all that stress from work or general life, or the kids are now in bed and I need a few beers to kind of relax myself. But I think ultimately what it does is it just kind of hides the issues that you have going on in your life, those extra stresses that are there. And I think, a bit like the confidence lie, I think it's a lot better to address the issue itself. And I know that can be kind of challenging, and if you're thinking about it now, well, I've got so much going on, but maybe if those stresses are coming from your work, maybe kind of address why it is. Are you in the right job? Do you have the right boss? And financial implications as well. Am I overspending on credit cards? Do I actually have a budget written? And I think, rather than coming home at night and grabbing a beer to just say goodbye to your worries, I think it's important to actually write down what your issues are, and not only write them down, but actually write a plan for how you're going to get out of them. And it might not be a one, it won't be solved in a week, but maybe over the course of 12 months, you might be in that situation where you're thinking, well, if 12 months I do this and that, I can actually get rid of this stress. And of course, when you're not drinking, as I mentioned in many videos before, you're so on top of things as well. So you will have that no brain fog feeling where you're energized and driven and you want to get out of that situation. So I think doing that, as opposed to actually picking up a can or a bottle or a glass of wine and getting kind of over that stress by just kind of dulling all your worries through alcohol, is just not a good path to take. The third one is a fun lie, where we always have to have alcohol for there to be fun. I mean, I was very much like that when I was younger. I, met people that didn't drink when I was younger, and I was absolutely gobsmacked that they didn't drink. And I used to always think, how do you have fun at the weekends? How do you get through a wedding? I mean, the drinking's the best part. The stag do's or bachelor parties, as you call them in the US. I mean, like, how could you even go on one if you weren't drinking? And I think it's just time to, what you need to do in that situation is just kind of redefine what fun means. Is fun going to a wedding or going on a night out, going round to a friend's house and just getting absolutely hammered and you can't remember anything and you were all talking crap and then you're feeling ill for 2, 3 days? Or is fun actually going round and spending time with your friends, actually connecting with them? Or you're at a wedding and watching a good family member or a friend having the best time of their life, watching all the family together, enjoying the food, enjoying the venue. And it's just kind of crazy how we've kind of managed to convince ourselves that the fun part is the boozing. Like, look at a birthday party, for example. Loads of you might be together, you might all be out playing golf, or you might be all out for a meal. I mean, what's not fun about that? Just having a laugh and reminiscing on the times where, why do you have to, everyone get hammered to actually enjoy that? I think it's kind of one of those other lies that I really don't know where it creeped up, but just know that if you're kind of sober curious at the moment or you're planning a journey, that fun soon won't be in the booze and you'll have 1,000 times more fun. I go to concerts now, I go to football matches, rugby matches, everything, and I have such a good time because I have a really good catch up with people. I always get some good food. I know I'm not going to wake up with a hangover. I'm really present when I'm there. I'm watching a concert. I wake up, I remember everything, and it's just such a different world. The fourth lie is control. This thing that we keep, or I used to drink, so like I would kid myself on, joke, just imagine every single time that I would somehow be able to control it. And it's just pretty amazing because everyone knows that you can't really control it if you're kind of a binge drinker or you drink more than that. I was just a quintessential British binge drinker, kind of been, at the weekends, never would go out on a work night or anything. I would never be able to get up in the morning. But just to always say to myself, I can control this, and it would always be the same. Buy a few beers, I'm only going to have 4. But then we all know what happens when the 4 goes. You want 5, you want 6, and it just kind of creeps up. And then that leads to kind of this bad habit that you're in. And, it's a frustrating thing because you don't end up, it just has such a detrimental effect that you keep saying to yourself every week, I've got this, and you don't, and you failed. And I think kind of failing on that you just can't control this one thing, just has such a bad effect on your mind and your health, I think, over the course of your life. And the final lie is this escape. You'll hear so many people say, kind of related to the stress one, where I just need something to escape from, my work, this issue, this financial issue. But again, rather than trying to escape by numbing all the pain, etc., once you actually quit drinking, what will happen is you'll actually just start to sort your life out. Maybe after the first couple of weeks, when you're done, when your sleep's kind of getting half decent, getting a bit better, and you're starting to get a bit of focus back, the brain fog's lifting, the anxiety's gone. That's when you kind of really start thinking about your life, and rather than try to escape from your life by picking up a drink, what you'll find is, and what you should do, is just again write down everything that all your issues and how you're going to achieve them, how you're going to get over them. And I just think that's such a better way to look at it, because just imagine a day in whatever 3 months, 6 months, a year's time, when you are at home and you actually don't need to escape from anything. I'm very happy at the moment. Everyone kind of has that period where you look back and you think, oh, how much money did I spend? And I've not done a course at work in so long, and start a DIY around the house and it's just still all hanging there. We've all been there, but alcohol won't cure that. It'll just make it worse and worse. All these unopened letters and, you know, DIY around the house and things that you've not got done in your personal life or in your work life, they'll just keep they'll just be a bigger burden on your shoulder every single time, every single week that passes. So rather than just using it as an escape, which, you know, people always say, and that's what's kind of, you know, was one of the reasons why you started drinking, just, you know, don't kind of kid yourself on that this alcohol is getting rid of, is letting you escape into this different world. You know, I agree. Sometimes I did, you know, kind of go out at the weekend and you kind of forget all your worries. You know, who cares? You know, you only live once sort of thing. But on the Monday, as we know, all those kind of issues creep back. So that's the final lie. If hopefully you enjoyed this video. Releasing quite a lot of videos, got quite a lot in the playlist as well, if anyone wants to check out other videos. And please like and subscribe as well if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you next time. Take care.